How do you cure an age-old problem on how to choose the proper crankbait for the proper water temperature and the right action? A wiggle or a wobble, where does that play in to your success with a crankbait? As water temperatures warm in the spring, when we get these good spring days and you start to see some sunshine for a change, which crankbait do I want to choose and why? Typically in cleaner water, I want a very tight wiggling crankbait. There are a few exceptions to that, but a tight wiggling crankbait in that cold water has historically been very successful. And then when water temperatures come up a little bit more, bass metabolism gets moving a little better, how do I choose to a wobble or lipless or hound? So let's talk a little bit about that. In cooler water temperatures, bass will move to get a crankbait. Now you're not winding that thing at Mach 1. That's why a 5.1 to gear ratio reel is important, and putting less line on there so I can't move it as fast is another key to moving that bait along slow enough for those fish to react to. Your job is the very same as if you're in water temperatures of 60, 70, 80 degrees. It is making a deflection. Choose a crankbait that will dive and hit the bottom. Whether you're in 6 feet of water, choose one that dives to 8, 10 feet, choose one that dives to 12 feet, so that you've got that crankbait on the bottom causing those deflections. That makes bass bite. In cooler water temperatures, a tighter wiggling crankbait is very important. And if you happen to live near a reservoir with a lot of vegetation, this is a great way to go. This is a lipless crankbait. You can see it's very thin, very shad-like. It's got a good deep sound to it. This bait has a very tight wiggle to it. By retrieving this lipless bait down close to the bottom and literally pumping it, lift and fall, this crankbait lifts, it falls back down, and you want to get it in that vegetation and rip it free in that colder water. As cold as 42, 43, 44 degrees, that's pretty cold stuff. But that bait right there, ripping and falling, will get you some bites. Now, as water temperatures warm up a little bit, say that 45 degree, and we're not going to include jerk baits in this conversation. We're talking about catching them in cold water on a crankbait. I want a crankbait that will have those deflection properties and have a tight wiggle. But look at the bill of this crankbait right here. See how that's kind of shaped like my thumb? That round bill right there, when it's rooting around and banging on the bottom, this round bill is very, very weedless, and it deflects off of cover very well. What's our primary cover this time of year? Our primary cover is going to be rock. It's going to be areas in which get a lot of direct sunlight towards the main lake, a riprap dam, a riprap point of a marina. It's going to be rock. These fish are going to be moving up vertically in the water column during the day and getting around rock. So this round bill, this round thumb-like bill of this particular crankbait, this is a 10 to 12 foot diving bait, bounces off and gets hung less. Now I'm retrieving this thing very, very slowly, very slowly. So as it's moving along, the same rules of cranking still apply. Stop and go, speed it up a hint. Make this crankbait do something different on multiple casts, and once you get a bite, let that bass tell you. If you crank that crankbait down there and it hits the bottom, you slow it up and then you stop and you get a bite, well, it may be cold out there and your brain may not be working very well, but you just unlocked a big part of the puzzle for the day. Stop and go. Something erratic, very important. But this bait, you can see how the bill comes out of the chin of the bait. See how it comes straight out of the bait? That tells me that the frame of this bait is going to be a very tight wiggle. Anytime that bill comes straight out of that bait, you get that tight wiggle. A great bait in clean water, a great bait to deflect because of the bill, but it has that tight wiggle. That straight line bill tells me that just on the build of the bait. So as water temperatures warm up even more and we get into that 48 to 50 degree range, bass become fairly active. Largemouth and smallmouth, spotted bass, they all become fairly active, so I can fish a little faster and I can fish shallower in the water column in most instances. As the calendar moves along, we start getting spring rains. What happens to our lakes and reservoirs? They get a little color to them. So now is the time that I'm going to change my style of crankbait and have a crankbait that has a bill that comes at a downward angle. See how that bill is at a downward angle? Right there. That creates a wide wobbling bait. Even a bill that is the same thumb shape comes out. This is a square bill. This is the four-wheel drive of all crankbaits, a square bill crankbait. But because it has that downward angle, it has a real wide X action. So those fish can find that better when water clarity becomes less. Let me say something about water clarity. This time of year, when water is very cold, bass can be caught if you have water clarity. I feel a bass can see a bait 3 to 5 times further in the water than you and I can. If I can see that bait 1 foot down in the water, I believe that fish can see it from 3 to 5 feet away. So color becomes important, but water clarity is the key. If you show up at the reservoir on Friday night when you're getting ready to go fishing and you have a big weather pattern comes in and it dumps rain like it all does to all of us that have to work all week long, and we're looking forward to that fishing trip on Saturday, and you get a big rain and the lake muds up and you have cold water, save that fishing trip and do your honeydews at home, because cold muddy water, I'm talking about red, ugly, muddy water, are the toughest conditions we have to face as bass fishermen. But as we get a little more watercolor and those fish get accustomed to that, reds and chartreuses, crawdad colors, bright chartreuses, things that they can see become very, very important in your color selection. But that wide wobble also becomes important, because as fish lose clarity in the water and they can't use their eyes as well, they're very efficient feeders in clear water and cold water. That's what you have to do, is get them fired up by sight in clean cold water. But as they lose that, then their lateral line system, how they feel things move through the water, and a wide wobbling crankbait becomes something that they can feel. Some crankbaits don't have rattles in them. This one has a rattle in them. A wide wobbling rattling crankbait is a great way to go when you have those dirty water conditions. Knowing when to change, knowing that as bass metabolism goes up, you will have some water temperatures in which bass metabolism really changes. And some of the specific numbers that I find that the bass become a little more active is 41 degrees to 45 degrees. When it goes from 41 up to 45, you can reel a little bit faster. 45 to 49 is another one, and 51 degree water temperature, I can move a bait pretty fast and a bass will chase it down very easily. With those things in mind, those are how I choose crankbaits. That's how I look at water temperature according to how these fish move. And this works the same way in the inverse. Coming from summer to fall to winter, 51 to 49 to 45 to 41, I have to slow things down as we go down. I speed things as the temperatures go up. These things all factor into it. Rods and reels, I still want to use a glass or composite rod, cranking style rod, slower gear ratio, use my line size to either keep the bait up higher in the water column or lower in the water column. Because as I become a better fisherman, as we all become better fishermen, and we're cranking that crankbait, we get very in tune to what that bait's doing. And if it ever does something funny, first thing we do is load up and set the hook. A composite rod does not transmit that to my hands as quick, allowing that fish to get the whole bait, get it in its mouth better, getting a better hookup, and allowing me to catch more of those fish that bite it. That composite rod plays big dividends with me on all of my crankbait fishing. With these ideas and with these tips, I hope this helps you decide on what crankbait to use, when to use it, and the type of tackle that we're using. I hope this helps you guys catch more bass. As water temperature rises and as water temperature falls, you'll be a more effective crankbait fisherman.